All right. Hello, everyone. I'm continuing off project I was working on last time, last stream. It's a little tower defense, inspired by uh, the inspired by Plants vs Zombies, and it's a sort of continuation of a project uh, that I lost the files for quite a while ago. So, yeah, you know what? I'll just get into it. So, last time, uh, I'll just run what I had. Here we go. So I've got a board here. I can put down towers like so, and that's about it. It scales pixel perfect, and I've got a grid of cells that I can place stuff into. So, in this session, I want to add. So I need some kind of currency for the towers, some costs to place them down, and to go with that, I also need um, uh, something that can generate the currency. So uh, one thing I can do is just have the currency appear over time. But the other thing is I can have specific towers that generate the currency. And the other thing I'm gonna try and do today are some enemies. I just want to get the basics of the game implemented here. So yeah, I'll just start. Um, let's start with the towers. So I'm gonna modify what I have here. So I'm not gonna be too worried about trying to flatten the architecture here with all the data. Uh, it's there aren't a lot of objects on screen, so there's no need to do anything ECS like at all. Um, so each of these towers is going to have a float timer that it's going to perform an action, um, and probably a duration would be a good idea to have as well. Um, for the action, and then the tower type is just going to be on the tower. So this is going to be an array of these now, and when we go here, just have to update the draw code to do with type, and yeah, so in the draw code here, let's just have a color here. Alright, and this is going to be, let's say lerp color. I think there's a color lerp. Yeah. And let's just make them go towards pink, and that'll be so this is getting a bit cumbersome to write, so let's just Okay, so I'm gonna make sure this is clamped between 0 and 1. Okay, so for each of these towers, so we'll just check. Is tower null for now? Continue. Let's do the same thing. So I want to manage time across any multiple set of files I end up having here. So I'm going to make a struct, a global struct here. Global struct to keep track of the global time. So I'm going to have delta time in here. And I'll also store just a total time that's elapsed since the game started. Okay. That should do it for wrapping the timer. And I will perform action here. Okay. Let's just give this a shot, make sure it still works. It appears they're all pink. So the timer values for each of these towers must be something unexpected. Oh, the duration is 0. That's what's going on. So the best way to encode this would probably be to, instead of storing the duration on each of these towers, I think the better idea would be to have just a set of durations and look it up by tower type. Just going to make the end of the enum here, because it'll make this easier. There we go. That should be good. Okay. Let's give this a shot. That's more like it. So, each tower has its own timer, but these are all the same type, so they share the same duration. Already make some cool effects like out of this simple setup. Okay, so next thing to do is have some kind of currency. Which I'll literally just keep track of as an integer called currency. And yeah, I can just make another array of values for each type of tower. And let's say the basic one costs yeah, let's just start with 1. Be simple. And the currency, let's make it like 5. There we go. So the action here is going to be simply to increment the currency. And then I'm going to want to draw it onto the screen so I know what it is. I'll remove that. Similar location, I think. And then let's just make it gold. Okay, we have 0 currency, and the towers are now generating revenue. There we go. So now these need to cost some amount of currency to place. So this being in the draw code isn't very good. I'll move this out of here sooner than later. But for the time being, Yeah, I might not need a full tower pointer here at some point. I could just see how useful that is for this. I might just need to store the type, just a copy of that. Oh, right. Uh, so currency is 0, and the cost should be higher. So I don't actually. That should have canceled that. I'm not crazy. Um, let's make these two separate checks. Oh, of course, right. So this is not the current tower at the current cell. This is supposed to be the type that I want to place down. So I need to define that. And of course it was 0 because the type that was currently at the square had a cost of 0. So okay. And yeah, I don't actually need to do anything like that here. That should be alright. Okay, good. I cannot place towers anymore. If I give myself some currency. And I'm still not subtracting the currency, so let's do that. There we go. And we've got the makings of a tower defense here. So, I'm gonna call this tower type, let's just call it the generator. Maybe just, maybe Tycoon. Let's do that. So, right, Tycoon Towers. And, then we're gonna have, the shooters. The shooter towers and the Tycoon Towers. So let's make these go every 5 seconds. And the shooters for now just every 1 second. Now the shooter towers are going to have another condition. And that is there has to be some traffic of enemies in one of the lanes before they're going to start their timer. But well, we'll get to that when we get to it. So I need some way to pick between the different towers. Let's just draw. Draw a triangle. So instead of this, don't want to add anything, that'll just be the base board position. I think it'd be cleaner to do a similar thing for all of them. Let's just do that up here. And then I can just say X times 24 for the 1. Kind of want to push this towards the middle, so offset by 4 overall. Color. So let's say this rectangle is 16 times the total number of towers, different tower types that we have chosen for this level. So I'll just call it that for now, and I'll say there are 2. Or I'll just make it tower max. Okay. So I'm gonna want to add a gap of some kind to this eventually, but I won't worry about that yet. The main thing is I want some kind of indicator of what tower I'm going to place. So let's take this out and just make a little draw tower function. X and Y. This is getting a bit of a mess, and I need to break things out into different files, I think. So I'm gonna want something similar with this. Okay. Okay, oh, of course, right, the timer. So let's just pass in a tower pointer instead. Let's do it as the first thing. And right. So reference. I think that works. Okay, I've got the tower I want to place. It's just not centered. So there we go. I can pick the different tower types. And I need enough currency to be able to place the different types. Okay. And I can simply remove towers by using the null tower, because it costs nothing and it is nothing. Okay, and just like that, got more money than I know what to do with in this game. So, let's get some enemies, I suppose. Okay, I shouldn't put off the reorganizing here, because this is a bit unpleasant. I'm gonna make all of the global stuff that's global to the whole game, just like maybe something more like no, I don't like that either. These are, I guess they're both uploaded to the screen. Let's just make screen.c. I don't like having tons of source files. I like having just enough that things aren't overwhelming in either direction. You can either have too much stuff on your file system, or you have too much stuff in a single file. That's how I feel about it. I'm gonna make a global header file. It's a little game, and in this one thing I can have everything that I use. Including these global structs. So I'm actually going to type def these, I think, because I want to be able to access them anywhere. So, or actually, I don't know if I need to type def them. I think all I want to do is just extern. Same with time. And right, I can initialize that, but oh no, that's not gonna work. Right, yeah. Okay, so yeah, I will type def these just as global canvas. And global time. So the definitions in this file, and the cursor is pretty useful to have across the board in this game, so I might just make that an extern vector too that I can get. No, I don't like that. That should be put it on the canvas. Yeah, okay, I got an idea for this. So if I just call it canvas mouse X and Y, I think that's not bad. Let's try that out. So this is like all of the fundamentals of this application, but all of this stuff can be. Let's have a towers header file. Because I imagine towers are going to have quite a few things by the end of this project. And we can keep them all in one place. And I will make a towers.c file where these will be defined. And I'm gonna be making some functions for all of these things. No, I don't need that. I just need the duration. So duration from type. Okay. And let's have the same thing for the cost. bunch of getters and setters. Okay. Actually, this should also be internal. So, I wonder if it's a better idea to wrap this in the function call. Really don't think it makes any difference, and I'd prefer just to avoid an extra function call if I can. Not that performance really matters at all here. It's one of the benefits of programming in C like this. To make something slow, you just have to write a really bad algorithm. But the language itself is very fast. Compiles to very fast machine code. Okay, yeah, let's make. I guess, yeah, make speed.h. Okay. So, I think these are okay to go in global. I think that's fine. And yeah, I'll just make this my big set of all the global utilities that are needed across the entire program. I don't think there will actually be that many. We'll see. So this is now canvas.mouse. This is going to be right. That's going to need to be a function. So tower get tower. So index, and we'll make a little assert in this one. And this will be the max columns times max rows. And there's no reason why I shouldn't just make a function is just get at an x and y value. Okay, and then I can just return the other function. And I'm just going to put a little to do here. Basically, make max calls variable instead of just a hard-coded constant. Okay. Okay. So instead of this here, I actually want to say tower perform action, something like that, based on the type. Actually, I think I'll just pass in the whole tower. No, actually, I'll just pass in the type and the position, because I can use that if I'm creating projectiles or anything like that. I can just base them at that position, and switching on the type, I can just figure out whatever it is I need to do. Okay. Maybe just perform at this position, do this. Okay. Okay, and so we'll say, I guess just add currency or change currency. I'll say add, and then you can just pass in a negative value. I think that's okay. I prefer change. Let's just change currency by 10. This will go in. No, it's not. This is closer to specifically in the game, so. Let's call this. Well, I guess the currency is just used with the towers, so there's no real harm in just putting this in here. Yeah, I feel like maybe just something like game.h pertaining to all of the very gamey aspects of this whole thing. And then, yeah. This would be a good place to do an assert. Same with I don't know if just based on the usage those ones matter that much. And that one just gets, so yeah, just in there for now. Actually, I will call these cell X and cell Y still, so it's obvious there. I'm not doing it anywhere else. Leave it there for now. Let's just reset the timer. In fact, let's just zero out the tower completely and then assign the type. Okay, that's what I did there. So I called this get currency and the other one. Yeah, maybe alright, I'll call these game change currency. You know, I'll call it add currency and then I'll make a separate thing just for lose currency. Gain and lose. Probably don't want negative currency, so there's no debt in this game. 0. Then it's just gonna. Okay. And let's just define some max currency value. Let's say you can have, I don't know, at most 100,000. Let's just do that. Actually, I'm just gonna go global here because I can condense this down to something. So this would be okay, and then this one is okay, nice and simple. Does it run? Appears to. Well, this still works if I go way out of bounds here. That's fine. Doesn't set it to anything weird. That's weird. So something's going wrong. Something's going very wrong with the placement code. So there should be no tower 8 or tower 4. Oh, did I just get this backwards? X plus Y times width. Seems correct. So that should not be changing. Okay, there's the problem. So when I look up the type to place, that's just totally wrong. This backwards because x plus y times it's row and column. If I just flip this. No, okay. So, as an index, that's very wrong. And the type should never be changing. So, So that placed a tower of type 2. These are placing towers of invalid type. Okay, and it's always aligned to whatever column. This must be something majorly stupid. And just a bit tired at this point. Let's bring this back. Oh. Well, that was stupid. It was bound to be, wasn't it? And that, my friends, is why it's nice to have some kind of type safety. So, one way I could guard against this is just make an assert that is the same one that I did here. That the... oh yeah, that doesn't need to be less than or equal to, it should be less than. Just assert that the type is in range. So that's all fine now. And if I purposefully break this again, there we go. It actually fails on the assert. So I can see in there, line 53, where it all went horribly wrong. And I'll just put a little message in this assert. Just saying, make sure, ensure parameters correct order. Just check that parameters are in correct order. Okay. Finally, can continue. So let's make these go a little faster. And then I can put down these, and then I can remove them. It's getting a little late for me, so I'm thinking I might call this stream here. And I'm pretty happy with this this refactor. It's not the worst one I've ever done. Next time I'll get the enemies in, and I'm just gonna do a little structuring of this. I don't think I've made unload yet. But may at some point. Just so I can have main at the top of this. So the first thing I look up at is the main flow of the whole program, and then yeah. So I'll also need to define scenes of some kind. So the title screen, for instance, a credit screen, level select, all these different things can be represented as different scenes, and yeah. Next stream will either be working on that or enemies, whichever thing seems to be the most important to keep this project going. So the game I am programming is a tower defense in the vein of Plants vs. Zombies. I was working on a game very similar to this. It's like a Game Boy demake, Game Boy style demake of Plants vs. Zombies, and I'm using raylib and programming in C. Yeah, on my channel you can find the videos that I had before, like my old devlogs working on that project, and hopefully I can get this one finished where I did not finish the other one, and instead what happened is I lost all of the work that I was doing on it because my hard drive died. So okay, I think that's going to be it. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you at the next one.